Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Start in the name of the one God, Allah. That was a nice break we had, and I hope you guys went to the website, or you will in the future. Again, I'll post everything on the bottom, and comment and rate and say whatever you want in this thread. I'm not going to delete anything. Like I said, I want to get back into the questions I wanted to know. You know, have you seen a change in the past like 15 years?
I have.
In terms of the ummah, in terms of the youth involvement or lack of involvement, or more towards you know, the dunya or the world, and you know, partying and girls and this and that. Have you seen a difference?
Well, I can say yes and no, because yes, you definitely see in certain places where you see the youth losing interest in religion. They say, oh please man, I'm sick and tired of religion, just leave me alone, let me do my thing, I'm young. When I'm older, then I'll get more involved in religion. Like when I'm a bit older, then I'll commit myself to Islam. But then at the same time, I've seen 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds with that sincerity. They stand there in salah before they even have to. And they're standing there and they're concentrating on everything they're doing. They want to get everything perfect. And then you get the 14 and 15-year-olds that are wanting to really dedicate themselves. So you get both. You get the ones that are, okay, I just want to go and hang out with the girls.
You're talking about in what's happening in South Africa. I mean, well, in terms of, well, I mean, since you don't live here, you can't really see. But I mean, I live here, and I seen. I mean, myself, I was not really. I mean, I was Muslim by name, but you know, I didn't do anything that personified being Muslim. You know, and but my mom, you know, inshallah, she is in Jannah. You know, makes it to Jannah, and in 2005, she gave me a Mushari, you know, Quran CD with the translation, and I said in my mind, like, why are you giving me this? You know, I don't want to say anything bad, but I said, why are you giving me that? I don't care, you know, it's like, you know, I'm not going to listen to it. I said in my mind, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I put it in my car, and, you know, maybe a few months later, I put a CD in, and it was like, oh, that's pretty nice, you know, and the translation wasn't that old English, like, art thou, and it was regular English, and slowly that was my catalyst, you know, to coming back to Islam, you know, and I thank my mom for that, and I hope, you know, she gets rewarded for that, you know, and but if it wasn't for that, I mean, I don't know where I would be.
So that is exactly what Allah wanted anyway. Allah has ordained every single person to return or come to Islam at His own time. Now, the youth that are out there, we have to be careful about saying that all American youth are not like that, because I've seen in the time that I've been touring in the last month, I've met some fantastic Muslim youth that are really strong.
I want to say, when I say youth, I don't mean like the 13-year-olds. And I mean, you know, from 15 all the way to 30. You know, before I was married, I considered myself a youth. I guess I still am, you know. But, you know, I look at the 15-year-olds or, you know, 22-year-olds, and it's like yesterday, you know, but I'm like 10 years older than them, you know.
They're getting old now.
Yeah. But
alhamdulillah, there are success stories. Obviously, there's going to be on both sides. Even when people move out of the youth and get into their older years or mid years or even their senior years, they're experiencing exactly the same problems. I mean, we have so many distractions in life. We're distracted by our business, we're distracted by pleasures of this world. So every single one of us, the central pillar that holds all the pillars of Islam together is a struggle, or we call it jihad, is pulling all those things together. We have to struggle to pray, we have to struggle to lower our gaze. I mean, it's not a natural thing for us to be able to lower our gaze. We have to practice upon it.
I mean,
it's a hard thing to do.
It's like if
you're right.
If you take 10 Muslims, you know, a youth, you know, my age or younger, 22-year-old, and you ask them, like, okay, do you believe that there's only one God? Yeah, they're probably going to believe that. But do you believe that an angel came down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he like crushed him and gave him the Quran, and do you actually believe this? And if you sincerely ask some people, they might be no, I don't believe that. You know, that's a crisis in faith. You know, they might believe a God, but they're not going to believe all these other things, because, you know, while they were growing up, they might have got turned off by the religion.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you were born, did your mother force you to drink milk?
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
Did they force you to eat food?
Yeah, well...
you would have died if you weren't forced.
Yeah.
Even throughout your life, when you were older, your mother would say, don't go home, don't leave the house without eating. Don't go without having something to drink. Take this with you. Make sure you have that. There's no point in your life did you ever turn around to your parents and say to your parents, why did you force me to eat food? Why did you force me to drink food or drink and eat? We never had that problem. In the same way, when our parents force us, or the community forces you when you're young to go to mosque or to pray, these are things that are going to help you at the end of the day. They're habits that we need to form. But it's how you tell people to do that we need to learn from as the older generation when we are telling the youth things. So perhaps doing it in a more gentle way, not saying to the person, your feet are wrong, rather saying you did such a good job. You know, that was so good. You know what, I just learned something the other day. Why don't you try it this way? Yeah. Then it's a much gentler approach, and the youth are more likely to follow.
That's true.
Follow that.
But I think that bridge has been burned already, because look, think about
we're going to be those old people.
That's what I'm saying. I have a daughter on the way.
To change.
You know, exactly. So
don't worry about what the last generation did. Let's get it right with our generation.
Somebody that was my age, they're hardly practicing. I mean, I know some people that, it's like, you have to go to prayer, Friday or something, come on, I mean, you're Muslim, but
there's nothing that they want to see. There's nothing that we are appealing to them with, because they're just seeing traditionalism. They're seeing no's and no do's.
Yeah, but imagine now their kids, because each generation, as it gets more, as each generation goes and grows up and has their kids, it gets less and less, I mean, they're going to lose their language probably, so how is Islam going to get past if that generation was weak in the first place,
If you look at the local mosque, say we look at Cleveland, for example, if you had to go to the Cleveland mosque, you'll see that all the activities that have been run in that mosque, I've been there, or that masjid the other day that I was there, all the important positions are being held by reverts.
Okay.
Those who have reverted to Islam or converts to Islam are holding those positions, the dawah position, the revert class position, all the important positions are being held by reverts. So if you drop the ball as born Muslims, we'll just pick it up. So it's not an issue that we're worried about, it's not going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. If you drop the ball, somebody else will just pick it up and continue with it. So Islam will, like you said right in the beginning of the show, Islam will continue to grow. No matter what we do, no matter how we mess it up, Allah will always choose another people to take it and continue with it. So I'm very positive. You see the cup half empty, I see it
well,
half
only
full.
In this situation, unfortunately. I mean, maybe because I was that guy that wasn't practicing, and then I became practicing more.
Allah gave you
thank God. It's only through Allah's will. So
something people often ask me. They say, which is better, a convert or revert, or somebody who's born a Muslim? They are both just as good as each other, because once that person reverts to Islam, they become a Muslim. They have all the same responsibilities in a Muslim. Now, a born Muslim is at an advantage, because from the day he was born, he was taught certain concepts about Islam. Things become much things are much easier for him to learn.
I mean, it
takes much longer. So we mustn't have this separation between the reverts and the born Muslims. Once you become a Muslim, you're a Muslim. You're no longer a revert until the next person who reverts to Islam or converts to Islam. You now join the family of reverts. So never have that superiority, thinking you're better than the born Muslim. But you are all part of that same group, and you help each other along. I think that's important to keep the youth active, and that way that Islam in a way becomes something more than just something that's religious. It becomes part of your whole life. And this is the beauty of Islam again. It talks about every part of your life. It's not just, going off 5 times a day and praying. It's every part of our life is exciting as a Muslim. There's something that can entertain us, something that can keep us busy in a positive way. Okay, we need to understand those things.
So I have another question. Another question I have is, what's up with the Hanafis versus the
Shafis
and Malikis? I mean, why is it so strict? I mean, isn't it? I heard somewhere where you shouldn't follow one blindly. I mean, you shouldn't pick and choose each one either, because they're different. But you shouldn't follow one so blindly that the other one is wrong to you, or they're all right. Right?
Well, this is the danger that we are getting into as Muslim
it's like
communities.
Polarized. It's too polarized.
We're also becoming people that say, well, you must just believe with blind faith. And this is something that was not taught in Islam. Islam is something that we must understand. Why are we doing what we're doing? We must have evidence and proof for everything we do. If you become a Christian, they will say to you, well, just believe with blind faith, because they can't prove anything. In Islam, it's totally different. Everything we do, we must question why we do it. And once we have that knowledge, and once we know why we do it, then we believe and we follow that thing. We don't just blindly follow. So if you're following anybody, whether it be a madhab or a imam or whatever it might be, blindly without knowledge, without having the proof given to you, that's dangerous. So we respect all the imams. We respect all the imams. In fact, I think it's very, very important that when somebody reverts to Islam, that they are taught the basics of how to perform their salah, how to stand. All these things are important. Now, everyone will have a different opinion if we don't have a standard. So the imams gave us standards. The four imams gave us a basic standard. But we don't take that over the Quran and the Hadith. We still must follow the Quran and Hadith, and we use the four imams' teachings as a guide so that we know how to perform things in unity and uniformity. So we don't substitute the Quran and the Hadith with following a madhab. Some people have taken to the extent where they say, well, the imams didn't say that, and it's even against what the Quran or the Hadith is saying. That we must never do. So we respect, we follow. We're not I'm not, and I don't think anyone should be anti-madhab. But we should be those type of people that don't allow a madhab to overrule our following of the Hadith and the Quran. We're living in a society that promotes like this liberal hippie era in our thinking of religion. You see it happening in Christianity, where Christianity was quite staunch, it was very strict, it had a very set code. Today, anything goes in Christianity. I mean,
I guess some Muslims want to be like that.
It's becoming the same.
Also,
you have churches full of people. We have people who are sitting on church memberships or church boards who are prostitutes. Would you believe it? That a member can be not only a member of the church, but a member of the board. Now, decision making.
Like this is in Africa?
In different parts of the world. I've met many people.
This is a fact?
This is a fact, yes. Okay. So we have the same liberalism coming into Islam. And people say, listen, brother, you're not going to bring the people into Islam. We've got to modernize Islam. Now, what does that mean, modernize Islam? It means we've got to, let's make sin permissible. That's what the word modernism. Come on, let's liberalize it. Let's bring some guitars into the mosque. Let a guitar, maybe like a drum or something. Let's liberalize. It just means,
hey, you want to be the guitarist
permissible. Here? So let's make sin permissible, and that's the thing. That's what we're doing. That's not what we do. Islam is already modern. It's so modern. Like you asked about, you said women's women's rights.
Yeah.
And I said no, it's women's responsibilities. Today we are we're using words that we don't really understand properly. We say, animal rights, human rights, women's rights. What are we saying? We don't even know what we are saying when we say that. What we need to be saying is, what about animal responsibility? We need to have responsibility to looking after those animals. What about the responsibility of looking after the environment? Responsibility of women, responsibility of men, responsibility of children. Then we will have a whole different world that we live in. But we want to say human rights, but we don't even know what that means. So let's say human responsibilities and start taking responsibility for our actions. Take responsibility for the environment. Take responsibility for everything in our environment. Then we will start. The youth are sick of this liberal Islam. They want an Islam with rules and regulations. If you give your kids free reign to do whatever they want, they soon get sick of it.
Yeah.
Then they want somebody to say, let's do it this way, let's do that. We're not saying that we have to be so strict on them that they don't want to come to the mosque, but there needs to be this balance between the two. And they will respond to that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And so how was your experience coming to America from South Africa? And in terms of seeing the youth or lack thereof or more youth involvement, I mean, does that make you feel better, or does that make you more optimistic about the future of Islam and
I'm very
in the West, I guess?
I am very positive about what I have seen in America. It is exactly not what I expected to see. When I came here, I expected to see Muslims that had absolutely no interest in the community. I expected to see very weak Muslims. I expected to see Muslims that would be hiding in the dark, undercover Muslims. This is what I expected. I didn't expect to see brave Muslims. I never expect to see a Muslim praying out in the open. I never expected to see as many youth coming to the mosque as I have seen. Youngsters wanting to learn more about Islam. And so it has been a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Does Islam in America have a long way to go? Of course it has a long way to go. Just like it has in South Africa, as it has in New Zealand and all the other parts of the world. We have to be more active and less reactive. We need to be more proactive and less reactive. What seems to happen in the Muslim world, we wait for some atrocity to happen or something bad to happen to Islam. And then we stand up and go, oh, this is terrible, let's burn some flags. Instead of being proactive and saying, listen, what will happen in 5 years' time if something has to happen in our community? What will happen? How will we deal with these issues? So we become very reactive and not proactive. And I think this is what we have to do. We have to think of a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, a 50-year plan for Islam in each country. And we still follow, inshallah, but that doesn't mean we don't plan.
Yeah.
If we look at the early Islam, they planned everything that they did.
Like, what is your thoughts about like how it's going to be in 10 years?
I think Islam is going to really grow very fast. I mean, we see it happening all the time. In South Africa, in my office, I have about 10 reversions a day. Between 6 and 10. On a good day, 10. On a bad day, about 6. That's people coming and knocking on my front door. So it's not we going out telling anybody. They're just coming. So we're finding that it's very, very easy. People are coming into Islam. They're getting sick of fake religions. They're getting sick of messing around, even as Muslims, because Muslims also revert to Islam. So
I agree.
We find many Muslims that are that, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of playing games in Islam. I'm sick of Islam that's not really working. I'm sick of the artificial Islam, the one that this doesn't make sense. So they're coming to Islam and they're reverting.
Yeah.
And so all the time we're seeing it. Here in America, we've had fantastic results with people coming after and saying, brother, now I'm going to really get serious about Islam. Now I want to revert to Islam. So
yeah, I think the thing different about when I was growing up versus now, it's such a global community, you know. I mean, you got the internet and
Facebook.
I mean, everything. It's just everything's global, you know. It's not a big deal to have a friend in Africa.
It's
you know,
true.
It's not a big deal to.
You just
I mean, nobody chats, but you know what I mean. No AOL anymore.
You just Skype and you can see a scholar anywhere in the world and talk to them and ask them a question.
But see, the thing about now, you put up an interesting point. Like, if I was living in the U.S., I have no need to ask a scholar about my community. You know, like we have capable scholars here. You know, Yasir Qadhi, you know, is capable. There's other scholars that are capable. You know, and but in terms of like Islam as a global thing, it's not like a local, you know, Saudi Arabia or India or phenomenon anymore. It's global, you know, and
this is the beautiful thing, is that we have one big global village now, and we can all communicate with each other at a touch of a button. You can get advice from one of the scholars that you thought were untouchables. Now you can contact them anytime. You can just click on their profile and ask them a question. They will respond to you.
I mean,
before there was this hierarchy, this distance. You couldn't get to these people. They were too pious.
There weren't any local.
Now it's easy to.
You know, born and raised in America. You know, and. You didn't, you know, you had to go to India. What is some guy in India, some village in India, had to do with, you know, me living in LA? He shouldn't be giving me advice. He doesn't know the situation. It's a world of a difference. You know, it's like black and white, literally. You know, it's that much difference. You know,
alhamdulillah, it's wonderful that we have this technology and we must use this technology. Some people are frightened of technology, and I can understand why, because technology can be used for good or it could be used for evil. So people say, no, don't use technology. I'm on the opposite. I think that technology should be used. Use Twitter, use Facebook, use blogging, use Foursquare, use all these media networks. That's the thing.
We need to have in our you know, we have enough doctors, we have enough engineers and computer scientists and all that stuff. We need people in journalism. We need people in broadcasting, radio. I mean, it's not good pay for sure, but that mentality of our parents, you know, especially the older generation, the first generation parents that came from overseas, they tend to push doctor, engineer, lawyer, or whatever. You know, but we had to break that mold. And I think the next generation, my generation, their kids, you know, as they grow, it's going to be more diverse. And you see that on Facebook. You know, you see a Muslim sister that's, you know, hijabi and practicing, and she's doing film, you know, and Cannes film festivals and things like that, and that's awesome. And every time I listen to lectures by Yasir Qadhi and American born and raised people, my iman goes up. And there are leaders here in the U.S. and whether they like it or not, they've been kind of pushed to that leadership position, and you know, I think
they must use it with wisdom. They must use that opportunity,
because it's a very big responsibility, you know, because a lot of people are listening to you, you know, and they're not going to blindly follow you, but you know,
don't blindly follow.
Definitely not. Everything has proof and everything, you know, and but you know, we have limited time now, and it was great talking to you, and I hope we can do this again.
Jazakallah khair, was a privilege.
I apologize for this low budget you know, setup we have here, but maybe next time you come, it'll be
big
better.
production,
Yeah.
Bollywood style.
At least we have one good camera. That's on you, not on me. Okay, but
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair, and we really have been encouraged from South Africa to see the work that is happening here in America, and we want to develop this relationship with Americans. So contact us.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to put the website on the screen here, right now. AreebIslam.com. AreebIslam.com. And what kind of information can they find on that?
You can find out all sorts of information for new Muslims, for old Muslims, for bad Muslims, and for people just interested in knowing more about other religions. So you can go there, good comparative website.
Now, is it something that someone from America would benefit from that also?
Absolutely.
So it's not like a localized
No, it's
Durban
global.
thing.
It's got
Okay.
a global
Message.
perspective, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful. And it keeps the work of Ahmadiyat going with the latest information, brand new research.
Because
it's not low budget. Sorry.
There's so many different
high budget website.
All right, you make it look bad now, but like there's so many topics we can go on forever for hours. But I think it's a great thing to know about other religions. Then it makes you stronger because you see the truth. And when I do comparative, in my small scope, when I do comparative religions and read about other religions out there like Christianity, and you see their theology versus our pure theology, it's refreshing that it's like, come on, man, how can you not believe this?
Go to the website, good stuff there.
And please rate, comment, say whatever you want. I'm not going to be blocking anything. And enjoy your day, and inshallah, may you find peace and happiness in what you do. And thank you for listening. And assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Thank you. All right, thanks.